I mean, look, some of these feminists, intersectional feminists, they end up kind of circling back to this anti-sex view where they see sex as exploitation and they see sex as an act of aggression. They see all sex as rape. Yeah. So I was thinking about, like, as I was talking about the bukkake porn, like a girl getting covered by many gentlemen. Like I have a music video called "Am I Gay?" I don't know if you've seen this, but it's
Yes, yes, yes.
Interestingly, like I didn't
It's
direct.
a really good one. I like your acting.
Thank you. I'm a natural born actor, but interestingly, I didn't direct that video. Like the choice to have all that lotion covering everyone was made by the director, and I wanted him to execute his vision. I didn't have a problem with it. It just interestingly that wasn't my it wasn't my idea. I had imagined sort of like maybe some wrestling happening and some kind of suggestive scenes, but he said, "Oh no, we're gonna get a bunch of lotion and just cover everyone with this lotion." And that video really upset a lot of people. Like I think a lot of people thought it was just really, really too vulgar, which I guess I understand. I just like to me, yeah, it was lotion. I just remember having a bunch of sunscreen thrown onto me.
I can't believe people taking serious that.
It is, yeah, it's clearly a joke, but as I was talking about, a woman getting covered by a bunch of semen, I was thinking like, yeah, someone could try to like say like, oh, what about you getting covered? It's like, okay, it was sort of over the top on purpose, but also it wasn't even my idea. So it kind of shows, it tells you something about the director that that's what he wanted to do with the video. Interestingly, maybe it says something about his view of
Nice.
psychologically revealing, maybe. But to me, the lyrics are kind of like what I wrote. Like it's still plenty suggestive, but it doesn't really bring to mind just an absurd amount of white stuff being poured on somebody. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah, let's ask you about the copper cap. You
Yeah.
were about to explain to me the copper cap. So where did it start? I tried to search. I find a lot of interactions and a lot of talking over each other. But where did this start? Explain a little bit of what is the copper cap interaction.
I think I first spoke to him on like a group live stream on, I think it was this guy named Politipod. It was his channel. He brought me on and said like, oh, Copper Cab is talking shit. He wants to talk to you. And I was like, okay. Now he had been in my video, my Ginger video, like my song. I remember like looking up gingers on like YouTube to just find like some footage related to gingers, and of course he came up. And so I have this guy like say, we do have souls, and gingers do have souls. So I've got this guy basically mouthing the lyrics for me. So I used him in it, but then when I spoke to him, he was like, it's always going to be unclear if he's trolling. I mean, he clearly is trolling, right? Like he's definitely messing with everyone. But he was kind of like, yeah, fuck you. And I said, all right, why don't we do a song together? And he said, okay. So I said, all right, great. We'll do this song about Jake Paul, who coincidentally had blown up. He was already the fastest growing channel on YouTube, but then his song "It's Everyday Bro" just blew up insanely big. So,
Is that very gay, bro?
so I said, let's do "It's Very Gay, Bro." I said, record your verse and send it over. And he didn't get it to me in time. So I released the version without him on it, with just me doing his verse for him. And he, of course, then he did give me his verse, so we had the second version with the second verse. So it was a fun thing.
That's why it's like the second version, and then you did a little bit on like
it was
other
fun.
interactions talking about it, no?
I was watching a lot of Leafy. Leafy is here, the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So I like Leafy would have like a series where like Billy the Fridge or someone is like stalking him, and then like kind of this like ongoing story being told
I
through a
don't know
series of
much
videos.
about Leafy. I've seen him another day when I was searching about the criticism on gamer girls.
Everyone,
Kind of a gamer girl, so I was like trying to develop my side, my gamer girl side, like putting me playing video game. I normally just display the gameplays, and some people have talked about like, do more like streaming and make more videos on, and I wanted to check on like what is about and like not do be a little bit more original, not do the same thing. And I found the leafy criticism on gamer girls, and it's pretty funny video. It's a good video.
Yeah, I find him very funny. A lot of
I'll
people
check on
like
him.
to hate on him, but they're just jealous. Let's be honest. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know what it is that bothers people, but to me, I've always found him very funny. And then yeah, he would sort of like revisit an issue, like he'll like kind of update you on a story. So I got to kind of do some of that with Copper Cab, where like I would show him threatening me, and then show me in front of the green screen, lifting weights, going like, "What's that?" And then like kind of turning it into kind of this series. So it was fun. It's not really the type of content I'm probably going to do very often, but it was a fun little episode, little era. Someone just brought it up to me the other day. It was interesting. Someone like I met like brought up the whole Copper Cap thing. Interesting that it resonated with people.
Interesting enough, we watched it another day. Like just yesterday, we watched a video of Milo, because you have done video of Milo too. It's one of my favorite songs. Is the
Oh
Milo.
wow, that's cool.
But it's like it's interesting because there are like the Sargon video, the Milo video. There are videos that I shared on my YouTube channel, but I know that like the niche is smaller because they need to know the person. Like they need to know Sargon or Milo. But it's a great video. And we were watching Milo's video, like one of the last release yesterday, and it looks like there is Copper Cab in the back. And I was like,
Wow.
what is Copper Cab is doing there? I don't know if it's someone that looks like him or you do.
I don't know, but like the Sargon song is a little more universal, like a gamer who gets angry and turns into this hero. Like I think people can watch that and take something from it, even if they don't know who Sargon is. But with Milo, I wrote that parody. So Milo was on, with the Bill Maher show when he was on, and it was just so powerful, right? Like this guy, man, he's unstoppable. Just nothing seems to hold him back. Everywhere he goes, he goes on HBO and starts bad mouthing Sarah Silverman and Amy Schumer and Lena Dunham, and it's like amazing. He's like breaking the fourth wall. But then, so I wrote that parody, and I was like, yeah, oh man, I wrote this parody about how Milo is unstoppable. And then Monday comes around of that like right after that weekend, Monday comes around, and the media just releases all these things about Milo that really, really, I think showed that he is stoppable. But he, the person Milo could have been would have moved past that successfully. But I think what does Milo really have to say? Nothing too original. He's latched onto conservatism, which is uninspiring. And it's like, yeah, like it's some of the things he says are very bold, but a lot of what he says is just so mundane, and you don't need to hear them from him. So people got over this excitement of like, oh my God, this guy's gay and conservative. Whoa, I can't believe he's gay and not politically correct. Whoa, like people kind of got over that after a year or two, and people kind of moved on. But the person Milo might have been, I think, is someone who could have really moved past that.
I think it's a little bit on like that identitarianism war, like on like blacks cannot be, or like blacks have to be Democrats, immigrants have to be Democrats, and all this identitarianism in politics is what make those new icons come so like they are trending now, like it's like Milo came, like yeah, he was broken down by like the witch hunt, because it happens to pretty much everybody around. Like you become famous, and then they start trying to go after your past and try to find something to break you down. And but no, I think it's a little bit trending. I would say like it's not a little bit on like Candace Owens, because she's black and she is Trump supporter and she's like not Democrat, and it's like, and she speaks out of because of that. Like you don't need to be You don't need to follow the masses. You don't need to follow the collectivism idea. It's a little bit good. I
Well,
think
yeah.
it's a good movement for the individualism. Like you don't need to be part of the group. It's good to break
So
that.
that's where the excitement came from at the beginning. Like, oh, this person is not playing by the rules and they're showing signs of individualism. So there's that at first, but then like I said, that excitement dies down and you realize, what is this
Yeah,
person
because a lot of
actually,
people end up
what is
spending.
Milo actually offering as an alternative to the intersectional feminist? What's he offering? Religion and family, family values that he himself isn't abiding by. What's Candace Owens really offering? Nationalism, following Trump off the edge of the earth? Like, she's not an individualist. She's saying the black community needs to stop letting the Democrat Party rape us. So why should the black community do anything but turn to individualism? They should turn to individualism. So there's individualism, and then there's everything else. And since is almost nobody is proposing individualism, these arguments are superficial. So that's why I've gotten kind of jaded about the whole thing. Once I realized the kind of the Sargons of the world, he makes arguments like, oh, studies show that video games don't cause violence and sexism. Okay, great. So then Sargon gets a big following of people that are excited by that, but it's a superficial argument. So ultimately,
You
there's
think
it.
it's missing? What you're missing is like some type of political representativity of of that ideology of the objectivist individualist in politics, like to say like, no, we're going to protect the individual freedom as well, give more. No, we don't need to give more responsibility because we do have laws that will input responsibility over your acts already. So it's just like behave more into that way forward.
There's no representation of individualism in any intellectual
Yeah.
arena. So politics is the last step, the last stage of the game. In epistemology, in science, in psychology, in ethics, there's no appreciation for the role of consciousness and for the proper marriage between facts and values. The fact that reality does imply how one ought to behave if he wants to survive and flourish. And then you get to politics. Okay, if this is true, that the individual can and must think independently and observe reality and integrate the material properly in order to live, then what's required politically for him to live? The extraction of force. He needs to be free to act by his judgment. So now the government's job is to have a monopoly on initiatory force. So anytime someone not initiate, and monopoly on retaliatory force.
Okay.
So anytime somebody initiates force, the government's job is to retaliate.
Yeah.
As soon as possible. So that's where individualism is represented in politics, but that's the final stage of the game. Yeah.
It's complicated. It's like no representativity at all.
Well, it's complicated, but it's also simple. I think once you just lay it out like that,
and I think it's like it's a little bit on the fight because like since there is nobody to represent the side, the other side just a straw man and say like, oh, you want the anarchy, you don't want government. It's like, no, we still want the government to protect the individual from whatever force is negative toward it.
Yeah, so this is why objectivists need to do a good job explaining why they're not anarchists, why they're not libertarians. The libertarian tent includes a lot of anarchist thinkers and anarchist advocates.
Is there anybody alive that has like podcasts or anything that you follow? You listen to, or you just try to literate yourself, like reading more and talking?
Well, I have a long documented intellectual relationship with guy Charles II on my commentary channel. He recently said some things about me that I didn't think were at least right to say when I'm not there to give my opinion. And I haven't seen him release anything new since then, so I'm not sure what his deal is. But yes, I followed him for many years. I think at this point I'm ready to listen to a philosopher. Like I've had enough. I think Euron is pretty good.
Yeah.
I think he's pretty great, but he's not a philosopher, and objectivism is a philosophy. So I long for someone like Peikoff. Leonard Peikoff was like the original um like champion, like the original soldier, like to keep it going after Ayn Rand passed away. Like and so like Harry Binswanger is really great. He's behind a paywall. He has a subscription show, the Harry Binswanger Letter, um, and also so I've been listening to John Ridpath. He's another old school. He's retired now. Very clear explanation of history, the history of philosophy, and all these things. Religion. He speaks a lot about religion. John Ridpath, Ridpath. Excellent lectures on religion and on philosophy. I mean, look, look, almost any objectivist.
Did you go to a school, like a philosophy school or something like that?
No, I barely went to. I
Oh,
barely went to school. I just really love this stuff. So I read a lot of what Ayn Rand
When did you
wrote.
start with this all reading on this and you start being curious about it? Because you have not stopped. I know you still.
Not stopping. I read The Fountainhead when I was 15, I think 15, and then read Atlas Shrugged and read all of Ayn Rand's fiction.
Did you go for those things because you were mad and trying to find yourself, something like that? Or like you said, you had this state of like feeling uncomfortable?
I was looking for answers for sure. And so I was interested in ideas, and I heard this Ayn Rand I heard of, just such a certain, she had such certainty. And I start reading her book, The Fountainhead. This is the coolest thing ever. So yes, it was that. Now, understanding how this book applies to life and what I'm capable of. Am I capable of being anything like the character in this book? Was something left to sort of explore and figure out much later. It unfortunately doesn't happen overnight. So some of my worst days were still ahead of me, but that's where it started. And you can really look at like the history of philosophy in general, like as the Enlightenment is happening, as the Age of Reason is happening, the anti-Enlightenment is emerging. Like Immanuel Kant and Hegel, they're just kind of trying to destroy reason, while you've got the American experiment taking place as a result of the Age of Reason. So all these things are sort of happening. So I guess similar to me, even though I was very much in this dark place, and the darkness and the destruction was going to continue moving forward, but I was sort of like discovering this positivity, which would ultimately be a source of guidance and inspiration. So yeah, I mean, but ever since then, I've been kind of continuously reading and listening to lectures, and yeah, like a lot of objectivists have provided a lot of valuable content. Ultimately, I think the today's objectivists could do a better job giving like philosophical essentials, like just getting right to the point. But I think they don't want to do that because they don't want to be dogmatic. Like they don't want to cultivate dogmatic objectivists. But I think I disagree. I think there's the right way to do it, which is what Leonard Peikoff did. He was the real deal, and he had the strong support of Ayn Rand. Not that she wanted there to be like an objectivist movement, but she very much endorsed the way Leonard Peikoff explained philosophy, as far as I know. So yeah. So no, I never went to philosophy school. I never had any formal training. I'm just kind of learning this as I go. The way I like to think about it is I don't learn anything I don't plan to use. So to me, like studying epistemology and concept formation, to me, this ties directly to happiness. This ties directly to creativity. This ties directly to all types of values out there to pursue inner happiness. Getting farther and farther away from that discomfort from my younger years, I think is something that philosophy provides. And
have you been more into like epistemology, like you watch things on epistemology and stuff?
I just read Ayn Rand's book called Introduction to Objectivist Epistemology.
Yeah.
Before that, I read Leonard Peikoff's book called Objectivism, the Philosophy of Ayn Rand, where he walks through every branch of objectivism, every branch of philosophy, and a lot of that is epistemology and other, metaphysics and so on. So I read that, just read the epistemology book. Now I'm reading Harry Binswanger's book called How We Know, which is like more epistemology. And that's what I'm interested in. I think a big part of what made me so interested in epistemology is seeing people like Jordan Peterson being out there giving his opinion. And what's the what's the alternative? Like, there's not nearly enough clarity on that. So I want to understand. What is the objectivist alternative to what we're seeing? And I want to understand Sam Harris. I want to understand Ben Shapiro. I want to understand what are their premises? Where are they coming from? So
it sounds really cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's exactly the word that we use most of the time in epistemology. Is like this will of understand the other side, because it's exactly what I was talking about on like making the argument of their argument. You really need to be able to construct the argument to like shape properly, delimitate what is their claim and their arguments in the best proper way to be able to beat, because it's easy to burn a straw man. That is the thing on the argumentation philosophy. It's like it's really easy to beat a straw man when you build this silly, ugly argument for the other side and you beat him up. It's really easy, but you really need to be able to find out what is the other person trying, or then becomes like what made Jordan Peterson so famous.
Yeah, I want to not only understand the opposition, but I want to understand like what were the errors that I made when I was younger? What were the implicit philosophical turns that I took when I left religion? But where did I end up? Why did I go to such a nihilistic place and it politically embraced authoritarianism? I thought, authoritarianism is the only way to deal with people because we're so irrational and reckless.
Can you tell us a little bit about this? What
Mm-hmm.
is going through this? Is like, how was this breaking down out of religion?
Yeah, I mean, I was raised an Orthodox Jew, and this was very serious. My upbringing would make Ben Shapiro look like kind of a slacker by comparison. He's out there, he's tweeting about HBO, he's taking pictures with women where he's got his arm around them. I mean, that is a lot of Orthodox Jews. They don't touch the opposite sex because it's inappropriate. But, I at a very young age, like I told you about, I was writing these lyrics and I was so into that type of creativity and this sort of like offensive, vulgar content. To me, that symbolized a maybe somewhat misguided turn to the sort of more pagan approach to things, kind of this reality-based, earth-based celebration of life. Rock music, I thought, was really just inspiring too, punk rock. And so I did away with religion. I said, this doesn't work for me. This is not the life that I want. But then what's the alternative? Like, what is the positive value? You need a positive value. So that's why I was saying before, like, doing away with identity politics doesn't give you a positive course of action. It doesn't give you something positive to advocate for. So in the several years after doing away with religion, I was just sort of without purpose. And I was asking, like, well, then what is moral then? Is it all subjective? Yeah, I pretty much concluded it's just people disagreeing with one another. So I might have ended up a Jordan Peterson fan today if I were still alive, assuming I would have still been alive and all that, like the route I would have taken. I could see myself going that route where I'm sort of this reckless skeptic, sort of pleasure chasing hedonist, and then I see this politically correct attack on video games and entertainment, and then I join the anti-social justice, even though I relate to the social justice people in a certain way. The way they're sort of taking their ideas to a logical extreme, I think is something I might have been on board with. But at the same time, I also was always very like rebellious and politically incorrect. So it's hard to say which side of that I would have ended up on. But by the time someone like Jordan Peterson came around, I might have been very, very deeply inspired by what he was offering. So I want to understand what it is that he's saying and why people are drawn to him, because that very well might have been me. And what Peterson is offering is mediocrity. Ultimately, mediocrity is better than death. Mediocrity is better than reckless, nonsensical action. But mediocrity is not as good as it gets. So I'm much more inspired by Ayn Rand's, vision of man as a heroic being. That's what I'm about.
That's nice.
True.
What you can tell a little bit about yourself, like your personal life? What are your hobbies? What do you like to do? You don't play video games.
Oh, I do. I play like
Oh,
old school video games. I play like
oh,
90s side scroller games, but I do them while listening to stuff. So to me, it's just something to do while I listen to a podcast or a lecture or something, or I'm on the phone. So I play
so
Mario
you
and Sonic.
multitask.
Yeah, it's like to have something to do with my hands and eyes while I'm listening to something. I'm into Sonic and Mario and Donkey Kong Country and stuff like that. So I do that, but like I say,
So
I'm
you don't have
consuming
a
some.
PS4.
No, I have a Wii U. No, I actually don't have a Wii anymore. I just have a Wii U, which includes a Wii kind of built in, and I have an Xbox 360 that I never play, and I have a Retron 5. I have like a device that plays old cartridge games of like every kind. So I play like Genesis and Super
I was just
Nintendo and
mentioning it because there is Sonic. The
mhm.
Sonic came on the PS4, so if you
Yeah,
like.
but it isn't that great. I've played it. Is it Generations or Sonic 4? I mean, I appreciate that they're paying some lip service to what Sonic used to be, but it kind of sucks. It's not the real thing.
Okay. So, great. I think we did a really good coverage of pretty much everything.
Yeah.
It's like I really appreciate your work and all the philosophy around too. I really like talking. I like that more over of those things. And yeah, I appreciate and thank you very much for being here with us.
Oh, thank you. You're a bit outside the demographic of who I thought my audience was. I still assume they're all a bunch of reckless adolescent male audience members. So
No,
this
I
is
don't think so. I think
mhm,
you're more political than you think. Like not
philosophical.
in the way that yes. I think people that can enjoy your comedy will be from like that, from like people that just want to laugh at some songs, but a lot of people that really support free speech and like edgy comedy.
Mm.
And I think everybody should check. It's a lot of good material. I like the videos. I enjoy not just the lyrics. Some videos are really great, and yeah, everything is awesome. Uh, I think I'm gonna finish here with with the recording. If you,
All right.
if
Well,
you
thanks
don't
so
mind,
much for
we can keep a little bit
yeah,
after to
yeah.
have
We
like
could
an after recording. Okay.
totally wait. Thanks for having me on. And yes, you're right. A lot of people like the free speech and the edginess, but also a lot of people are looking for answers, and a lot of people they want to know, they want to get to that deeper level. So I hope I'm providing something when I sort of introduce people to Ayn Rand, or I talk about getting sober and doing it from a secular perspective. So, yeah, thank you. I do appreciate it. And this has been a lot of fun.
Thank you.